We built a great product, but sales couldn't sell it. The product was amazing. Marketing just didn't know how to position it. I've heard product leaders say versions of these things throughout my career, and I have an uncomfortable response. You failed. If you're the head of product, you don't get to declare victory because you built a great product, because your job isn't to build great products. Your job is to find the intersection between customer value and business value. Building a great product is absolutely essential to doing that, but it's not enough. Let's start with customer value. You can build the most beautifully designed product in the world, but if customers don't discover it, buy it, adopt it, and use it to solve a meaningful problem, you haven't actually created value. The potential for value exists, but if the customer hasn't experienced it, there was no value creation. And the same thing is true on the business side. If we spend $20 million building something and it doesn't move the business metrics that justify the investment, we haven't delivered business value either. We shipped, and shipping matters. Shipping is essential, yet insufficient. I think product organizations sometimes lose sight of this because we define success around the things we directly control: discovery, design, development, delivery. We do all four really well, ship the product, and think we did our job. But the customer outcome hasn't necessarily happened yet, and neither has the business outcome. And this is where organizational boundaries start to matter. Your company has divided itself into product, engineering, marketing, sales, services, customer success, support, and probably a dozen other functions. We do that because specialization makes the company easier to operate. But those boundaries are our problem. They shouldn't be the customer's problem. Unfortunately, they often are. Customers experience your org chart all the time. They experience it when sales promises something product can't deliver. They experience it when the product works, but implementation takes 6 months. They experience it when they get bounced from support to customer success to professional services because nobody quite owns their problem. They experience it when 2 products from the same company, or even 2 features from the same product, don't work together because they're owned by different teams. They experience every gap between the boxes on your org chart, and they shouldn't have to. Your customers shouldn't have to pay the tax of your org chart, because from the customer's perspective, there aren't 6 departments. There's one company. They bought an outcome from that company. And think about everything that has to happen for us to actually deliver that outcome. We have to discover the right problem, build the right solution, position it so customers understand why it matters, get it into the hands of the right customers, deliver the experience we promised, help customers adopt it, and ultimately help them experience the value we set out to create. The product is one part of a much larger value delivery system. If any critical part of that system breaks, we can build a fantastic product and still fail to create the outcome. So what does this mean for a product leader? It means cross-functional alignment isn't something you check 2 weeks before launch. And importantly, alignment doesn't mean getting everyone else aligned to product. I always try to enter these conversations with the assumption that we might have it wrong, that I might have it wrong, because friction from marketing, sales, services, or customer success isn't necessarily resistance to overcome, it's information to learn from. Take marketing. If you're a month from launch and you're asking marketing, can you figure out how to position this thing? You've probably already waited too long. Ideally, marketing was involved during discovery or even earlier. They understand the customer, they understand the market. And if they're struggling to articulate why the product matters, don't immediately assume marketing has a positioning problem. Ask why. Maybe we've built something that's hard to differentiate. Maybe the value proposition isn't nearly as compelling as we thought. That friction may be telling us something important about the product. The same is true with sales. If sales is struggling to sell the idea, don't start with, how do we get sales on board? Start with, what are you hearing that we're not hearing? What objections keep coming up? Which customers aren't interested? What are they buying instead? Where does the story fall apart? Some of those answers may point to a sales problem, but some of them may tell us that our product strategy is wrong. And the same applies to services, customer success, support, and the rest of the business. If implementation says the product will be incredibly difficult to deploy, that's information. If customer success says customers aren't adopting a capability we thought was critical, that's information. If support keeps seeing the same problem, That's information. The friction at the boundaries of product is one of our richest sources of learning. So cross-functional alignment isn't a baton race where product builds something and hands it to marketing, who hands it to sales. And it isn't product deciding what to build and then convincing everyone else to support it. It's a continuous learning loop. We learn from customers, we learn from the market, and we learn from the parts of the organization that experience the customer in ways product doesn't. Sometimes that means another function needs to change. Sometimes it means the company's operating system needs to change. And sometimes it means the product needs to change. That's what real alignment looks like. Now, at this point, I can already hear the objection. Wait a minute, product doesn't control sales. You're correct. You don't control marketing either. You probably don't control services or customer success or finance or a whole bunch of other things required for the product to succeed. Accountability doesn't mean control. And this is one of the biggest transitions you have to make as you become a senior leader. The more senior you become, the more your outcomes depend on people you don't control. That's leadership. Your job isn't to take over those functions. Your job is to make sure the alignment happens, make sure the conversation happens, make sure the conflicts get surfaced, make sure the trade-offs get made. And if you can see a cross-functional failure coming, you don't get to ignore it because the box responsible for it on the org chart doesn't report to you. That's what ownership of the outcome means. Let me give you a few examples. Imagine your corporate strategy says this new product is critical to the future of the company. Product has invested heavily in it. Marketing launches it, and then nobody sells it. 6 months later, somebody says, sales just wouldn't sell the new product. Okay, why? Then you discover that a rep can make twice as much money selling the existing product. What exactly did we expect them to do? Our strategy said one thing, our operating system told sales to do another. That's a foreseeable alignment problem. Surface that before launch. Or maybe the marketing team is struggling to articulate why the new product is meaningfully better than what customers already have. We could say marketing just doesn't understand the product. Maybe. Or maybe marketing has just uncovered a weakness in our product strategy. Maybe our differentiation isn't clear enough. Maybe the customer problem isn't important enough. Maybe the product needs to change. That's exactly why these conversations need to happen early. How about this example? Maybe marketing nails the positioning and sales sells the heck out of it, but implementation takes 6 months. Customers get frustrated and they never experience the value we promised. Product can point at services, services can point at sales, sales can point at product, and the customer is standing there paying the tax of our org chart. That's the failure we're trying to prevent. I've lived this. At Lucid, we took on a pretty aggressive initiative a few years ago. We expanded the product portfolio by adding 5 new offerings in just a little over a year. It was a truly audacious goal. And there was absolutely no universe where product and engineering could make that successful by themselves. So we thought about getting to the outcome in 3 basic steps. This was the specific guidance to the product directors. Step 1, get the product and the story into the market. Because regardless of how much discovery and de-risking you do, there are just some things you can't learn until it is real and you're exercising the whole value delivery chain. Step 2, remove deal friction. When the conversations get real with customers, when people start a pilot with the intent to buy, everything changes and you learn new things. In particular, you learn what is slowing down your ability to sell the product and get people using it. Step 3, be well positioned for renewals. Initial deployment doesn't always look the same as ongoing usage. We need sticky users getting frequent ongoing value, and we need to do all of that within the first year. Guess what? None of those 3 steps are product-only outcomes. Getting the product and story into the market required product, engineering, marketing, sales, really the whole business. Removing deal friction requires to learn from sales and customer success and sometimes change the product. Getting renewals required customers to actually use the products and get value from them. That involved product, sales, marketing, customer success, support, everybody. So imagine if I had said, well, my team shipped all 5 products. Sounds like the rest of you guys have a skill issue. That would have been insane. The company didn't need 5 shipped products. The company needed 5 products creating value. That's the outcome. So before a major product investment, and certainly before launch, I want product leaders asking some pretty hard questions. Can marketing clearly explain why this product matters? And ideally, they've been involved long enough that they understand the value as well as product does. Does sales understand who it's for and how to sell it? Can our organization actually deliver the experience we're promising? Are our incentives aligned with the behavior our strategy requires? Do we understand what will make customers actually adopt it? And does the executive team understand and support the investment required to make it successful? If the answer to one of those questions is no, it doesn't automatically mean you kill the product. It means you've discovered an alignment problem. Now own getting it resolved. I want to be really clear about the word own. I'm not saying product owns marketing. I'm not saying product owns sales. And I'm certainly not saying the CPO should walk into the CRO's office and tell them how to run sales. That's not leadership. I'm talking about ownership of the outcome, and that starts with curiosity, not control. If marketing is struggling to position the product, understand why. If sales isn't selling it, understand what they're experiencing in the market. If services says they can't deliver what you're designing, listen to what they're telling you. Maybe something needs to change in their function, but I bet something also needs to change in yours. That's the point. Owning the outcome means you don't care which function has to change. You care that the business gets to the right answer. Driving alignment across the business should actually be one of the major focus areas of a senior product leader. So get the right people in the room. Surface the disagreement. Learn from the friction. Make the trade-offs. And be willing to change your own plan. You may not get your way. In fact, sometimes you should not get your way. Because the goal isn't for product to win. The goal is for the business to create the customer and business value you set out to deliver. So let's go back to where we started. We built a great product, but sales couldn't sell it. The product was great. Marketing just didn't know how to position it. Don't accept those as defenses. They're the beginning of the postmortem. The best product leaders don't draw a circle around product and declare victory when something ships. They ask a much harder question. Did the business successfully deliver the value we set out to create? Because ultimately, customers don't care which department dropped the ball. They just know they didn't get the outcome they were promised. Don't make your customers pay the tax of your org chart. Own the outcome. And if you're a product leader trying to build organizations that consistently create customer and business value, subscribe. That's what we talk about here.